All right, everybody, it's Mr. Hochspring again, and I just wanted to take a look at these study slides because I know there's still some questions with that because we've only been doing it, this is the second time. So I have chosen a student's assignment that they've already finished, and I'm going to use that as an example. So you might be watching and notice that this looks kind of familiar. So let's take a look. First things first, the first one. What has made Italy Rome a place people want to come and see? We have an answer for Aeneas. He fought over Rome and won the battles. All right, that's a good answer. That's also talking about how Aeneas left Troy and came to settle Rome. Other things that made people want to settle in Rome were the good land for farming and the mild weather. Both of those things allowed people to grow lots of food, and that was kind of the business of the day back then. Who were Romulus and Remus? What is their basic story? Well, they were twin brothers who were raised by a wolf and they built up Rome. After a disagreement, Romulus killed Remus. Right on. Great answer. If you look, there's that statue of the wolf with the two babies underneath it. Um, but yeah, that's that story. Romulus is what Rome is named for in this legend. Who were the Etruscans? What did the Romans adopt from their culture? Well, the Etruscans were people north of Rome. The people learned some of the building things and art and culture concepts. That's true. So if we look, Rome is right about in here. The Etruscans controlled this whole northern area, and the Etruscans had a lot of art. They had these frescoes that were painted. We can still see these paintings that show what they were wearing. The way they armed their military and organized their military were also things that the Romans copied. But that's what the Etruscans did. They copied music, they copied style and how they dressed, they used the way the Etruscans built buildings, all sorts of stuff. What happened between the Romans and the Etruscans? Well, the Etruscans had a king, and that king was in control of Rome. And after a certain amount of time, they had a king that the Romans did not like, and Rome had been growing and getting stronger, and they overthrew the king and they took over. So Rome learned lots of things like art, building, and culture. Eventually, wars broke out. These were called the Roman Etruscan Wars. Very good. Why were Romans able to expand their land so well? Well, everyone they captured, people, they would treat them fairly. Then people wouldn't have to rebel against them. That's exactly it. Here's Rome. They slowly started expanding. And as they expanded, they took over these people and they treated the people like Romans. They made those people's lives better. So those people were actually happy that the Romans had taken over. That was part of that whole Roman Confederation thing. But that was how they expanded so well. They were good leaders. What is a republic? Is a government where citizens elect their leaders. Right on. That's a nice little picture of people voting, it looks like. We're going to learn more about this next week. This wasn't a perfect system right away, but they got better and better at it. What was the Roman Confederacy? How were the people in it treated? Well, the Roman Confederacy is the way people governed Rome. People in it were treated equally and peacefully. That is a big part of it. But more of the Roman Confederacy is as Rome took over more areas, those areas became part of Rome, and the people there were treated as part of Rome. What are the Apennines? This is not something we talked about in class that much because you know what? We haven't been in class that much. So the Apennines are these mountains that run right along Italy here. They kind of separated Rome from some of the other parts of the world. If you look at the map in our notes packets, you'll see the Apennines listed there. Mountains that surround Rome. They gave the Romans high ground, so they had a huge advantage in battles. That is also pretty good right there. Describe what a legion is. Those are two great pictures. A group of around 6,000 soldiers in the Roman military. That is right on. How did the Tiber River help protect Rome from seagoing invaders, not inventors? Seagoing invaders like pirates couldn't sneak up a 15-mile channel. They would have to go all the way up the Tiber River. That's correct. So anybody on the coast is at risk of pirates invading because pirates can kind of show up quickly. However, if you're 15 miles inland, it takes a while for pirates to sail that long, so there's going to be some warning, and so civilizations can prepare for it. So Rome was protected from pirates. How did the seven hills Rome was built on help protect the city? It allowed the people to have the higher ground. That is exactly correct. These hills. If you look at Rome today, there's neighborhoods on these hills, but these hills provided places where Rome could defend itself, much like the Skywalker example I've talked about a couple of times. What is the Aeneid about? Who wrote it? Very good. This is a cover of a book, the Aeneid. by Virgil. And the Aeneid was made by Virgil. It is kind of like a sequel to the Iliad by Homer because it explains how some Trojan people snuck out with their families and went to start a new civilization in Rome. That's as good as I could say it. Nicely done. Yes, that's exactly what it is. The Aeneid is one of these legend stories of how Rome was formed. And this is about Aeneas, who fled from Troy when the Greeks took over and would later go on this adventure, kind of like we learned about with Odysseus and all these different things happen, but he eventually settles with the Latins and starts Rome. How did the huge network of roads the Romans built help it keep its huge empire under control? That's a cool little map. But the Roman roads, let's see, there were lots of roads, including a road that stretched through all of Rome. They helped keep Rome under control because it made trade and travel way easier. That is right on. Not only could those roads be used by regular people to share and get to markets, to go to different cities, but it also helped the military to move quickly so they could move around wherever they were needed and keep Rome safe and keep invasion from happening. What were some of the ways the Greeks and Etruscans influenced Roman society? Some of the ways that the Etruscans and Greeks influenced Rome was how the Etruscans taught Rome building and creative art techniques. The Greeks had some of their alphabet in the Roman one. That is right on. The Greeks helped teach the Romans how to farm things like olives. The Greeks also had that alphabet that worked so great, and the Romans adopted that. And we talked before about the Etruscans. The Etruscans had this way of dressing, this way of organizing the military and building and things like that the Romans adopted. And that is it for our slides. So you guys have a little bit of time to get this done. I know it was assigned for today, but the post says you have some time tomorrow to do it as well. Tomorrow I'm going to be posting the quiz. Remember, it's an open notes quiz, so don't stress about it. If you are not ready for it on Thursday, you can just take it on Friday. Use some time on Thursday to finish up your study slides. And that's what these are here for. If you want to watch this video, maybe it helps answer some questions you might have about them. But that is it. And that is me, Mr. Hochsprung, signing off. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.